Happy New Year. It is 2026. We are so excited to have all of you here today. I heard the woo in the back, thank you. I'm so excited to have all of you here today for 2026's first ever P3 Strategy Series and first 2026 Sunstone Stage Connects event. Today we have, I love it. Today we have some amazing speakers. First and foremost, we will have California State Treasurer Fiona Ma, CPA, speaking. I know a lot of you are incredibly excited. We are too, and we're so honored to have such an esteemed representative come talk to us and share her views on building California's future through P3. In this joint event with Sunstone Stage Connects, we will also have CEO Michael Ahrens of Clean Earth Rovers talk to us about his clean tech mission for the future. But before we get to any of that, allow me to introduce to the stage SVP of Investment Operations, Jasmine Jiang.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to come to Sunstone Stage Connects and Sunstone P3 Strategy. This is our first event of this year, and we are expecting more event like this. Maybe 40, maybe 50. We are hoping every Friday afternoon we can meet you here and to really be part of this innovation ecosystem, be part of this community, to build connections and meet people. I see so many familiar friends, faces here, but I always love to talk about Sunstone, what Sunstone do, and what we really here to really be a facilitator to the innovation ecosystem. We are a capital provider, that most of people know us. We are a venture capital firm, and we really want to invest in startups. But on top of that, we are also a community builder. As you can see the numbers here, 2025, we already hosted 80 plus community events, 40 plus pitch events, and 70 plus startups present their business ideas, technologies here at the Sunstone Stage Connect. And now we have more than 40,000 community members join us, and this number is increasing right now. And as a capital provider, always three things we will always talk about is funding. We provide early fundings to new technologies, to new startups. We also build the connections, wants to create the opportunity, let founders meet investors. So that is Sunstone Stage Connect really wants to do, really let our founders get access to those early investors. Of course, resources, connections, and this is huge because all the founders need support from us, and that Sunstone's mission really empower our founders with those connections, resources. So we are so fortunate that we do have those resources around us, and P3 strategy is also something we want to build here to help our founders to know what is the latest public policy and also the programs they can available to them. Yeah, this is our portfolio. We already invested more than 100 startups, direct investments, and this number is increasing for sure. And our sector is always focusing on AI-driven technology, clean energy, healthcare innovation, and supply chain logistics. So any founders from this space, please talk to us. We definitely can get you the right resources and the capital you need. And this is just like a one event last year, pop-up markets. We were able to have, you can see it, like 20 different brands here present their demo, present product, and we have about like 300 attendees join this event, just like one event. The team did a very great job. And universities, we work with universities. Universities plays a huge important role in our innovation ecosystem. So we work with Caltech, UC System Pepperdine, Cal State Long Beach. I have Dr. Martin here today, and also UCI and USC. So we are definitely want to giving back to the community, work with those university partners to find those early stage founders at the very beginning. Events, pictures, and founder perks. Yeah, I always want to talk about this because a lot of founders didn't know that they can get so many free perks and credits from our platform. So if you are founders, you are looking for those free credits, free connections, free services, please make sure to talk to our founder community and follow us on our LinkedIn, and you can get connected to those free or discounted perks. That's always been talked about, like John Kaiser, me, and Mike, investment entrepreneurship community. That's what we really want to do. And today, because this is a collaboration with P3 Strategy, so I'll also give this to Jennifer to talk about our government piece of how we help funders.
So, of course, we have a whole bunch of events, like Jasmine mentioned. Lunar New Year is coming up, so if you are in Irvine, you can absolutely check out our celebration with the city at the iconic Great Park. You can also check out every single Friday at this stage, the Sunstone stage. We will have the Sunstone Stage Connects, where startup founders will get to present, pitch, and showcase their innovations. And so feel free to connect with any of the Sunstone staff here today, or find me afterwards. My name is Jennifer, and we can tell you all about how to get involved. And of course, here are some QR codes. We always want you guys to stay involved. Newsletters, LinkedIn, social media. I see those phones coming out, so thank you so much. I'll give you guys a sec. Okay, so before we get into the real meat of today's presentation, a lot of you guys might have not heard of the term P3. So P3 stands for Public-Private Partnerships, and something that Sunstone really focuses on is making sure that those investments, those entrepreneurs, those community members really get to come together with those public and private sectors to create an amazing, enriched community. So if you have interest in the private sector, if you're a startup or investor, please find Jasmine and her team who will direct you to those available resources. If you are looking more on the public sector and have some questions about the role of government and how public agencies can work together to benefit the community, feel free to follow Sunstone Cities, check out all that they do, and here's a QR code for some more stuff coming up. You can also find Ryan at the front. He will be able to answer all of your questions about all of the government and economic development options that Sunstone can help you with. Now, I also want to introduce to the stage one amazing person. I'm sure 99% of you have, raise your hand if you've heard of John Shad. Yeah? Amazing. If you haven't, John is the founding partner of Sunstone. He is also the CEO of American Lending Center. He is a parallel entrepreneur. And so with all the small business growth here in the city, in the community, in the country, we have John to say a few words. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Sunstone Stage. It's another Friday afternoon. It's another exciting opportunity. So I'm happy. So at Sunstone, we firmly believe that the most meaningful innovation happens at the intersection of the public and private sectors. So our PPP strategy is based on a very simple idea. And the idea is that when we bring three things together, we're talking about mission-driven entrepreneurs. We're talking about forward-thinking public leadership. We're talking about capital that aims not only for financial returns, but for a greater community impact. When we bring all three things together, we can unlock amazing solutions to strengthen our communities, expand opportunities, and build some long-term economic resilience. That's why we're here today. It's a great honor for me to introduce today's speaker, who was a great friend of mine. You know, she's been a trailblazing leader with extraordinary record of public service. She's been the treasurer for California since 2019. And she led California to become the fourth largest economy in the world. Let's give her some. Amazing achievement. she's also a great role model for Chinese American, Asian American community. She's an idol and inspiration for all of us. On a personal note, she helped me a lot. She was one of the first reviewers of my books before I published my book. So her comments were actually printed on my book when it was published. And that helped my book become one of the instant Amazon bestsellers. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity getting your comments for my book. Okay, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcome Fiona Ma to Sunstone stage.
Is this camera working or not? No?
It should not be on it.
Okay, good. I'm gonna stand here so if anybody needs the closed caption, they can see it. But it is really my honor to be here. When I first met John and Stella, number one, they're a great pair, working together, caring about California, and also providing the funding and the financing that so many of us here in this room are looking for. So over the years, I've called John a lot of times saying, hey, can you fund this? Is your EB-5 program, can they do that? And so they've been a great resource. And then John, coming from Long Beach, he has extensive government experience. He's strategically very savvy. And so it's been an amazing opportunity to come and just partner with them, because we here in California, we are now the 4th largest economy in the world. And why is that? It's because we have over 200 different languages that are spoken here. And when people are now seeking the dream, way back when my parents came for the American dream, now I say, if you want the dream, come to California. Because still here in California, we welcome everyone here. We want to provide equal opportunities and hopefully make sure that you are successful so that you stay, you grow your business, you raise your kids here, you pay your taxes, which helps me, and so we are all in this together. So just a little bit about me. I am the oldest child of immigrant parents. My parents were both born in China. They left at an early age, immigrated to Hong Kong, met at a church picnic in Toronto, Canada, and settled in New York, where I was born and raised. And growing up, my parents, my dad, I had a tiger dad, wanted us to be one of the lead professions, lawyer, engineer, accountant, or doctor. So I'm an accountant, my brother's an engineer, my sister's a doctor. We were just missing a lawyer in the family. And now, after all these years, I am really trying to tell the next generation to please go into law. Because we need people to understand, our rights. We need people who care about people and are going to represent people, because it is becoming more and more of a litigious society that we have. So the more advocates and the more rights, people that are fighting for us as business owners, as individuals, as whoever, is going to be very helpful. So I went to the Rochester Institute of Technology because it was close enough to my house. Back then, my parents would not let me get on a plane, so I could drive, so it was about a 6-hour drive. But they also had a paid internship program. And I think that makes a huge difference, because these companies come onto campus, they're recruiting you, you get paid for your internships, and then if you do a good job after, you're offered a job, which is what happened to me in New York. Ernst & Winnie, the trust in a State Department, offered me a job. But by that time, my parents decided to move to San Francisco, and so my brother and I moved to San Francisco, and I decided to stay with Ernst & Winnie in the real estate tax group. So, I don't know, trust and estate or real estate, which one is sexier? Well, I think real estate is sexier, right? So I'm very, things happen for a reason. I wasn't happy about coming to San Francisco, but Now, I believe what my father has been telling me all these years, that California is the best place in the world to live. He says San Francisco, but you're down here, so let's stick to California is the best place to live. And now I am one of the biggest advocates for the state. However, my parents never wanted me to be in politics. After staying 5 years for one of the big 8 accounting firms, I left because there were no women or people of color in leadership, and I quit and started my own practice at the age of 28 years old. And I became president of the Asian Business Association. So all of a sudden, I had to represent women and minority small businesses at the local level, San Francisco, Sacramento, Washington, D.C., under President Bill Clinton. And I started to look around at these elected officials saying, they have all the power. They decide where the money goes. They decide what bills to sign, or what laws to sponsor, what regulations to pass, who to appoint. These folks have a lot of power. And there weren't a lot of women or, Asians like me in office at the time. And so the men around me, Asian men, they're like, let's go. We have to go and apply to different boards and commissions, and then we have to run for office and represent. And still to this day, I'm the only one that really got elected and got the bug. I started with Senator John Burton, working as a field representative part-time for 2.5 years, because I also had my own CPA practice. But then in 2002, got elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. There's 11 members on the board. San Francisco is the only city and county in this state. And back then, I was running for the Chinese seats, District 4, the Sunset District. And when I got elected, I was the only Chinese member on the board and only the second woman on the board. That was probably the worst elected position I have served in, because every day I did not want to fight. We had 9 men, 2 women, very more sophisticated, more experienced, and so I spent all my time in the community, helping the community, beach cleanups, moving stop signs, putting in garbage cans, helping to build playgrounds. And then I ran for the state assembly in 2006 to 2012. So after getting beat up for 4 years, I was actually much stronger, and I was the majority whip for 4 years, and then Speaker Pro Tem my last 2 years. That means Deputy Speaker number 2. I served under 2 different governors, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jerry Brown, 3 different speakers, and during the Great Recession. So that was my second elected position in a deficit position. Board of Supervisors, we had the dot-com bust, so didn't have any money, and then went to the assembly, still no money. Then ran for the State Board of Equalization, a tax board, right? How many of you know about the State Board of Equalization or the CDTFA, right? Nobody wants to get involved or donate or, be out there, supporting this tax board. So it was a really hard race for me to run in, because, all the companies and, the individuals, they only call you when they need you, right? So that was not easy, but when I got there, my second year as the chair, I called in 3 audits, and Jerry Brown took away most of the taxing authority as well as the appeals authority, because for many, many years, this agency was not very well run. Then I ran for the State Treasurer in 2018, got elected with more votes than any other State Treasurer candidate in history. I'm the first woman of color, the first woman CPA. There's only been one other CPA, a man about 50 years ago, and myself, and then got reelected in 2022. So all these years, my father, my first race, he's like, what are you doing? You're a CPA, you have your own company, you should do that. And I said, no, Dad, I really want to run for office, help people, represent. Okay, didn't get paid a lot. Then I ran for the state assembly. He goes, why do you keep doing this? How much you getting paid? Not a lot, but okay. Then I ran for the tax board, and my dad said, what are you running for? Go make money, right? I said, well, it's a tax board. He goes, oh, okay, well, at least you're not wasting your, education, okay? Then when I ran for state treasurer, like, woo, the whole world opened up. He was finally proud of me that his daughter, Fiona, is the treasurer of the 4th largest economy in the world. And so to some of the young people here, I know your parents may want you to do something, lawyer, engineer, accountant, or doctor. Listen to them because they want what's best for you. But later on, hey, it helps. It helps me in my job that I have a bachelor's in accounting, a master's in taxation, and an MBA, and I've been a CPA since 1992. I'm probably overqualified for this job. Okay, I get paid $185,000 a year. If you take out 40% in taxes, that's not a lot of money. So you all get a great deal from electing people like me. But as the state treasurer, I am the banker. So over $3 trillion comes into my office. I manage whatever the controller is not using. So the short-term portfolio of about 100 and probably $65 billion today generates $17 million from my investments every single day. And then I issue all the bonds for the state of California, the UC and the CSU systems. So for all of the infrastructure, all of the buildings, that goes through my office, and we issue it twice a year. And still to this day, 7 years later, our bonds are oversubscribed. People want to invest in California. Our credit rating is still very good. So that is good signs for us. I also fund and finance affordable housing, schools, children's hospitals, emergency crisis beds, public transportation, advanced manufacturing, green energy, garbage and recycling, small businesses, and I have 4 savings programs this is just under the treasurer's office. So I have 17 executive directors, 500 employees that I manage. And so I tell people, if you need or want money, please call me. I also sit on CalPERS, CalSTRS, the California Earthquake Authority, the iBank, California Housing Finance Authority. So I believe that the state treasurer is really the second most important position after the governor's office. But we're very quiet, and that's a good thing. The fact that you're not hearing about me and my office means we're doing a good job. So I really appreciate these opportunities to come here, to meet all of you. Like Jasmine said in her slide, I think it was funding, community, and resources. So this is our community. I have lots of funding and I have lots of resources. And if you go on my website, treasure.ca.gov, the first box, the red box, is for people who have been devastated by the fires, so that those are my fire recovery resource guides. And then in the blue box, I have resource guides for small business, for startups, for manufacturers, and my most recent one is for higher education, because I don't want our next generation going into high student loan debt. So we are updating it all the time for grants and scholarships and others. So I'm very honored to be here. Look forward to our fireside chat, and just thank all of you for being part of this Golden State. I hope that we can be the 3rd largest economy in the world.
Thank you so much, Treasurer Ma. Such an inspiration. So I am also the eldest daughter of immigrant parents. I am not a California state treasurer, so I have a little ways to go, but we'll see. Next up, we have a fireside chat, and this will be with Treasurer Ma and Sunstone CEO, John Keisler. John, to the stage, please.
All right, well, that was an amazing story. And I think if anything, that story captures our mission here, investment, entrepreneurship community, that John shares a similar story. and what he found by coming to California. One thing you didn't tell us was that you were a tennis player. So tell us about your tennis career.
Yes, okay. So I grew up in Great Neck, Long Island. All of my friends were Jewish. There were 6 of us that were not. And I think, here in California, so many of the parents push their kids to go into 5 AP classes, right? Overachievers. I only had 1 AP class. That was my senior year, and that was Spanish. But what I excelled in was sports. So for junior high and high school, I played 4 sports. I played tennis, basketball, volleyball, and softball. And my senior year, I was captain of all of them. And I really do think getting involved in sports is not only teaches you about healthy, lifestyles, but it teaches you about competing, wanting to win, super competitive, but being a gracious loser, but also teamwork, how to work with a team, right? I think sports, and especially team sports, tennis is a little bit more individual unless you have doubles, but I started playing tennis probably as soon as I could walk, and I did play tennis in college.
Well, I think I agree with all that, and I think it explains also your competitive spirit, your energy level. I was sharing with Patrick, I can't believe how visible you guys are, how accessible your office is, the events you do. You're based in Sacramento, but we see you down here. In my 30-year career in government and public service, I've never seen the California State Treasurer, or any treasurer, quite honestly, as visible and accessible and as part of the community. So where does that energy come from? How do you do it? What's your schedule like?
Yeah. So you heard I started out as an accountant, right? A tax accountant, doing people's taxes. 15th of the month was a deadline, sitting in my office behind a computer. I hated it. So I'm an extreme extrovert. I need people to derive my energy. And my office knows, I say, I'm just gonna slow down, I'm gonna keep my schedule open, I'm not gonna catch the first flight out, the last flight home, but invariably, if someone asks me to do something, I'm like, sure, okay, come see our office, let's have a meal, come do a tour. I'm like, yes. So I also like to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, and every time I meet and see people, I learn something different. And I think more elected officials should be out there in the field, not in their office, meeting with lobbyists, looking at PowerPoints all day long, but actually going out to see and touch. Because when you come and you visit a company, you can see what's going on, and they will always tell you the truth when you go visit them. If they're struggling, what maybe they're going through tax issues or legal issues, and so that's a good opportunity to really, bond with more people.
Yeah. Well, let's take a poll. So raise your hand if you're a business owner. Okay, good. Raise your hand if maybe you're an investor or come from that, okay? Raise your hand if you're just a resident of California and we're interested in hearing from your treasurer. Okay, all right, good. So that, because we have some great questions that Jennifer and the team have put together. But let me talk a little bit about the economy now. So California economy, you mentioned, John mentioned. I wore my California shoes today because not only are Vans a local small business that we're extremely proud of here in Orange County, but also proud of California. This is a place, $4 trillion GDP, 4th largest in the world, only 40 million people, and yet we are 4th largest in the world. How do you see the partnership between the public sector and government and private sector, like small business? Because you've been on both sides.
Yeah. So California's budget, the general fund, is highly dependent on individual income taxes, corporation tax, and sales taxes, right? So that means we are highly dependent on high net worth individuals creating good, high quality jobs, capital gains, right? And what I joke now is that instead of the California bear, our state animal logo should be a unicorn. Because the unicorns is what we are highly dependent on. even during COVID, right, where everybody was shut in, staying at home, I was really worried, that our economy was gonna go, to put. However, all these tech companies had to hire to develop the Zooms and, all of the tech platforms, and so they all had stock options and bonuses, and they were merging. Interest rates were low, right? The stock market was hot. People were still buying and selling and overbidding on houses. Right? It was crazy. So the first year of COVID, $46 billion surplus. Wow. Second year of COVID, $96 billion. These are record surpluses, right? We're all sitting here, we're all spending money here, we're all buying, boats and RVs and houses, right? So all the sales taxes are also here. And then after COVID lifted, everyone started leaving. They started traveling again, they started spending money outside the state, and then the traditional tech companies started laying off people because they didn't need all of this, technology. But then AI filled the space. And all of a sudden, these AI company startups came to San Francisco mostly. We were hoping they would come downtown, but they kind of stayed outside. And now, we are hoping that these AI companies are also going to go IPO. They're gonna be merging. They're issuing stock options and bonuses, and that's what keeps our California economy going strong. So, our cash revenues are better than expected because of mostly the AI companies, and so we are looking much better than we thought we were going to be this fiscal year.
Well, it's, the governor just did his state of the state. And he talked about a lot of the economic development initiatives. I don't think California has had an economic development blueprint. We now have California Jobs First. There's all these industries we're investing in. Can you talk a little bit about your program? So I never knew how much the treasurer's office has loans and guarantees and credit enhancements and even some incentives to stimulate the economy in California. Can you talk a little bit about some of your favorites?
Yeah. We put about $5 billion into local headquartered banks here in California. And that's really to incentivize them to lend out the money, especially when there are natural disasters. We will go directly in and try to infuse them with some cash. And when I first started, we didn't have that many banks. It was mostly the bigger banks. And I said, how about all these smaller banks, these ethnic banks, these community rural banks? And so now we have done a better job of investing. We have been giving out grants to our CDFIs, our community development financial institutions, and they're the ones that are funding a lot of the small businesses. And I know that one gentleman is here with California International, there he is, bank, telling me, what they have been funding in the communities. We also got $2 billion in our SSBCI, our Small Business Credit Initiative from the federal government during COVID. And this goes to loan loss reserves and loan loss guarantees to our participating lenders so that they are incentivized to loan out, because if the borrower doesn't pay, the state's gonna pay. But there's very low default rates, so I'm very happy about that. And then we added a collateral support program because many small business owners, they don't have the collateral, so we have that program. And then during COVID, a lot of folks called me and said, well, I need a line of credit. My inventory is sitting on a ship, the government is shut down, I'm waiting for my payment, and so we now have developed a small business line of credit, for those that need it. So those are just some of the starters. Then for those that are buying equipment that is cleaning and greening our economy, you can apply for a sales tax exemption. So normally when you buy a product, what's your tax rate here? Your sales tax rate?
Sales tax, well, I know in Long Beach it's 10.25. Here I think it's lower, about 9.75.
9.5, okay. So if you are buying or selling equipment, you have to still pay for your sales and use tax. So if you're buying a $10 million piece of equipment, You should apply for our program, and if you are creating a certain amount of jobs in an industry and cleaning and greening, you may be able to waive that 9.75% use tax. We also have a Cal Competes program. This is an income tax deferral program, anywhere from 3 to 5 years where you can defer your income taxes so that you can hire your employees and also, keep a little bit more cash in your pockets. We have more programs. We have Go Green financing. Anybody want to save energy on your utility costs? Double pane windows, maybe ceilings, lighting, HVAC, air conditioning, heating. We have low interest loans for residential, commercial, multi-unit buildings, and you can pay it back longer, like 30 years. So, whereas the financial institutions, they're very, focused on, rate of return, and they want you to pay it back quickly, our government programs are a little bit more flexible. So please, again, I have them all listed in my resource guide on my website.
No, that's fantastic. We'll get another mic in here, but I want you to start thinking about your questions. So I have one or two more, and then usually Jennifer and the team will throw the catch box around. So you actually have to catch it, but you can ask some of your questions because it's very rare to be able to have such an intimate fireside with our state treasurer. But something that I was thinking about is, let me see, 2018, 2026 is about 8 years. So what's next for Fiona Ma? Can you be the treasurer forever? Is this an appointment for life? Or is there another mountain you have to climb?
Thank you. Yes, so in California we have term limits, and all of the 8 elected statewide constitutional officers, we can only serve 8 years, and that's a permanent term limit. So even if I left for 4 years, I cannot come back and run again. So this is my 8th year. My father was, again, you should go make money. You can sit on corporate boards. You can be a consultant. And I said, no, I am going to continue, and I'm going to run for lieutenant governor this year. So that's number 2. Everyone asks me, what does lieutenant governor do? Well, it's like the vice president. If something happens to the president, that person must be willing and able to step in. But lieutenant governor also sits on the UC, CSU, community college boards, coastal commission, state lands, and is in charge of the Economic Development Council. And then this governor delegated a lot of the international relations duty to the current lieutenant governor. So she does a lot of inbound, outbound delegations, traveling internationally, trying to promote California.
Oh, that sounds like you. Getting out the extrovert, getting energized by meeting people. I've seen you abroad really helping create awareness about investment opportunities in California. Well, my last question then, so how does it work? Is it now you have to get out there and tell people about your next job? How can they support you or find out more information?
Well, just being here, if you like me, you can, follow me on social media. I have a website, fionama.com. The primary is June 2nd. And since COVID, you're all gonna get a ballot in the mail 6 weeks before the election. So probably at the beginning or end of April or May. Do not throw it out. A lot of people are like, I'm just gonna throw it out. And then when I come and say, John, did you vote? Election day is Tuesday. He'll say, oh, where do I go? Go, well, you had a ballot. And you'll be like, oh, I must have thrown it out. Where do I go? Well, you have to go down here and, vote provisionally. And then he's probably gonna be like, I'm way too busy. I don't have time to do that. And then he's not gonna vote. So I wanna get the word out that 6 weeks before June 2nd, you will get a ballot. Do not throw it out. You can just vote for me and mail it in. The state pays for your postage, because that was also another excuse. Oh, I can't get, stamps. No, the state pays for your postage. Or, a lot of people want to wait because there's so many things on the ballot, they don't know what they should vote for, they're nervous about making a mistake, they're waiting for more information, and then sometimes they end up not voting because it's too overwhelming. So there has to be a balance.
All right, so I want you to think about your questions. At Sunstone, investment, entrepreneurship, and community. Community means being engaged in your community. So that's why I ask about how do I get involved? How do I vote? How do I get to know my elected leaders? How do I vote for them? Community is essential, and our economy is a public-private partnership. So while you're thinking of your questions, I have a question for you. It's in this box. I wanted to know if you recognized this or could tell us what this is.
Okay.
Do you remember when you gave me those Hello Kitty cake toppers?
In Japan.
So I wanted you to know that I kept them. Christopher and I kept them. And we were on a trade mission. And just to show you how kind, Jason, Fiona, the people that are running our state of California, it was my birthday, and I was working, and we were at a dinner, and there's a lot of dinners and things, but it was October 3rd, and you got me a cake, a little kind of, it was like a creme brulee cake, and then you had to go out and find the Hello Kitty decorations. It's hard in Tokyo to find a bakery like this. And I just wanted you to know, and I wanted everybody to know how thoughtful that was. It was so thoughtful that I put him in a Ziploc bag. Christopher and I brought him back in our suitcases, and I said, when I see her next, I'm gonna give them back to her and see if she remembers. So I wanted to thank you for that, and I wanted to invite some questions if you have time.
Sure. So, who was born in the year of the horse? Only a couple. Okay. This is my year. This is my fire horse year. So, March 4th, I will be 60 years old, and maybe you can put it on a cake to give to me. March 4th.
All right.
I will give it back to you.
Everybody remember, March 4th. Okay, so who has a question for State Treasurer Ma? Mr. Ely in the back.
All right, so the national economy and the state economy is driven by consumer spending, which directly impacts sales tax revenue. So what have you seen trend-wise for 2025, and what are you expecting for 2026?
So 2025 was a little bit tumultuous. When people are not comfortable about what is happening every single day, they tend not to spend that much. And I have a lot of friends who are in the restaurant industry, and they say their takeout business is more active, but they will order and they don't want to pay for some of these delivery companies, so they will actually come and pick up their food themselves to save that money. So when consumers are doing that, right, usually you order online, you want to stay home, the convenience, but when they're actually thinking about saving a little bit money here and there, it means that consumers are not really comfortable. And every single day you open up the news, we're not really sure what is real and what is not real, and it just doesn't give a good sense of security for individuals. So that's why forums like this are important, to talk about the successes, to talk about the resources that are available, and to say, stay here in California, invest here, help each other, support each other, because then that will create more of a sense of security where people will feel more comfortable spending money.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, right here in the middle.
My question is, you mentioned the source of capital. But when we spoke about the source of capital, high net worth individuals, capital gains, tech companies, we were talking about billionaires, right? So versus when you talked about, the programs, you talked about SBAs and small businesses, But I come from tech world. I have a tech company, AI company, so I totally understand how the tech ecosystem works. So if you talk about Amazon's, Jeff Bezos, or Google's, or Uber Eats, all these tech companies, if you see they displace the local businesses. The tech scaling companies are primarily built on top of that. So how do you balance? I totally understand you have SBA programs to support, but do you see the kind of like that disconnect that the tech companies actually thrive by sucking out
Yeah.
the local economy businesses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I'll give you, we all know during COVID, none of us could go. There were no stores or restaurants. Only the supermarkets were open. And so everybody got into that habit of ordering, right? And still, many today, still want to order online and have everything delivered. I don't like that. I like to go to a store. I like to pay. I like to take it. And I don't want to waste all of the boxes and, the stuffing that comes with it. So it is kind of a state of mind. People have seen, right? Before we went to work 5 days a week, now we start working at home. Some people like it, some people don't. I still like to go to the office. I can't focus and concentrate when I'm at home. So, COVID has really changed a lot of our habits and our mindsets, and some people like it, some people don't. But for me, I'm always like, hey, buy California wine, right? Canada right now does not sell any California wine in their restaurants, in their grocery stores, in their liquor stores. How is that helping us, right? Because they're mad at the United States. So support your local small businesses. Don't go to the big boxes then, right? Go to your mom and pops because they're really struggling, right? They have to make their rent. They can't get subsidized. And for these tech companies, technology is going to be here, right? And it just depends on the consumers. If we are going to support it, if we are going to use it, if these companies are going to do the right thing, because we have a lot of power. If these companies don't do the right thing, we don't like certain things, we stop patronizing, stop buying it. But that's our power as consumers to decide who we want to, invest in, spend money with, or not. So that's all I would say. I mean, it's here to stay. They're not going to go away. Maybe you like Waymo, maybe you don't like Waymo. People like it, then they're going to expand. If people don't like it, they're going to go to another state, right?
Thank you.
Something we just saw recently, Jasmine had put up slides with our pop-up, and we had, about 40 different companies here. They were all small businesses. The technology allowed them to connect with customers around the world. And they were telling us that even though they're based here in California, they were able to sell to customers who found them through technology across the country, maybe even over the border. So in some ways, we were hearing the story of this partnership between small business and these tech platforms to really help them with customer acquisition, marketing, and even in some cases, they were able to build and grow their businesses online through that partnership.
Yep.
Who's next? Yes, sir.
Hello, Fiona. My name is Santiago Flores. I'm a tech founder. We do infrastructure energy management. I mostly wanted to thank you for opening up our business model as it relates to government subsidies. You've been a champion with AB 1305, warehouse actions of investment to reduce emissions, Rule 2305. That's allowed big corporations to essentially generate revenue by being orderly, measuring your emissions, cleaning up your emissions and your waste. And that's really driving my market, especially with the decentralization of utility tokens such as real world assets that are digital assets that are tied to real estate energy projects. So I wanted to thank you for really pushing the boundaries on government subsidies, especially people outside of California are always so afraid that, Trump is getting rid of this, getting rid of that, but California is staying strong.
Yep.
And I really appreciate you just being at the forefront. But my question is how do you feel about the World Cup and the Olympics? Are you love sports, so
Who's going to win the World Cup?
Yeah, is there any subsidies that you're the Treasury is getting ready for? Because we're gonna have millions of people visiting our state, And yeah, hopefully we can make a positive impact. Thank you.
So first off, California has been a leader in climate action, passing AB 32 back in 2006, which set goals to reduce the CO2 emissions to 1972 levels. I think we set a goal of 20 years, and we met the goal earlier. And then Governor Brown set the goal at a lower level, and we met that. Okay, so we know in California that it works. This governor, Gavin Newsom, he created a mandate that would require all new passenger vehicles to be all electric by 2035. I mean, that's a high goal, but it created a huge market, right? All the electric vehicle companies are here, the battery storage, right? The charging stations. So government policy does make a difference, like you cited in terms of the bills. We have a very progressive legislature. More than 2/3 are Democrats. Many of them do care about the environment, and so we continue to push the envelope. And what I would say is, when I first got elected 7 years ago as the state treasurer, I think we were the 6th largest economy in the world. And now we are the 4th largest economy. So we are doing something right here in California. We believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We believe in ESG, the environment, social, and governance. These are our principles. This is what has led us to the propulsion, and we are not going to back down, because all of you here in this room, I believe you all believe in that, regardless of what Washington, D.C. is saying. That's why we have to continue to stay strong. We cannot back down. In terms of sports, love everything coming to California, right? We lost a lot of tourists during COVID, and then after that we had a little bit of a crime issue, right? And now with visa issues and the DEA issues, but we need to come back, because tourism is one of our strongest economies, and we have really lost a lot of it. But with APEC, it started with APEC coming to San Francisco. We cleaned up the city. People were like, wow, San Francisco is still a beautiful city. So now they're coming back, with the World Cup, with the Super Bowl, and with the Olympics especially. We're gonna be able to showcase that California is open for business, and we're gonna do what we can. So government usually will create programs when there are gaps. So if you're all doing public-private partnerships, right? I was just with a company that is doing steel framing yesterday, and they have a contract to do the media center for the World Cup. These are opportunities, because government, we don't have all the money that we have. We are not very efficient and quick in terms of deploying it. So we really are depending on all of you, to try to fill in those gaps, and when there's an opportunity or a need, then that's where you can step in. But you need to get involved, right? Do you all know your local elected official, your assembly member, your senator, your government liaisons? Because we will tell you where we need help, and then it's up to you to be able to figure out. So I'll just give you guys a tip. Housing, right? We have a housing crisis, right? People want to come here. The next generation, the parents complain that their kids cannot afford to buy houses. People who are in large houses, empty nesters, can't afford to sell. They don't want to move. They don't want to pay the capital gains. So it's kind of a vicious cycle, right? But California, we have passed 3 children's hospital bonds over the last 20 years. We have the best children's hospital services, bar none, and that's important to families. We passed 2 stem cell research bonds, $6 billion. We're the only place in the world that has put that much money. So again, the medical professionals, the Nobel Peace Prize winners, they all want to come to California. So where are these opportunities? Well, around our research centers, around our hospitals. We need more housing, fair market housing, around those centers for starters.
Awesome. we have time for just a few questions because you have another ribbon cutting coming up in just a few minutes up in Fullerton. So what time do we have right now? Because right around 2:30, we've got to move the treasurer to her next event. Who has maybe one of our last two questions? We've got one here and then one here.
Okay, quick question, Fiona Ma. We know you know the energy industry, and thank you for your help. My question is, in your presumed next position, what you will be seeing California state government's initiative to bring down the electricity bill or the total energy bill for consumers?
Yeah. Because of AI and crypto, we need a lot of energy. And the investor-owned utilities, they would love to ramp up faster, but that means they need more investment, they need to spend more money, and that means they would probably raise our rates, and nobody wants their rates raised. So this is kind of the conundrum. So that's why we are depending on companies like yours to figure out how to create more energy for the grid. And maybe it's off-grid, other power sources, like I know you're doing hydrogen. We need all of it right now. And so for me, in whatever role I am, I'm always trying to promote staying on top of whatever is out there, trying to get ahead of it, and then trying to promote and keep businesses here, attract investors, create more high-quality jobs here. So thank you for being in the energy sector, but that's another big industry that we definitely need more help on.
Thank you. That's fantastic. And before we take our last question, I did want to recognize our two council members from the city of Irvine. Would you mind just standing up and waving? Because this is another example of community that we have, not just our state leaders here, but our local leaders who partner with the state on a lot of these programs. And these two council members approved the city of Irvine's first ever economic blueprint on Tuesday night. And so the city of Irvine is taking a major leadership role. Even though Irvine is one of the fastest growing cities in America, certainly in California, one of the safest, one of also the most innovative economies, they said, you know what? We still need a plan. We need a vision to shape not just how our communities, our small businesses, our entrepreneurs plug in, but also signals to the state and to the private sector that you can come here to Irvine to build your business and tap into these resources. So I wanted to thank the council members, and I wanted to make sure that you all know how plugged in they are with local small business and with the community. So we will have one more question, and then there will be maybe 10 minutes before the treasurer has to leave. She has to get to her next event. So by 2:30, she's out the door. I promised her that. But let's have one more question, and then maybe about 10 minutes afterwards for a few pictures.
Take pictures. Post on social
Because I know, look at, they're all ready. Yes, ma'am.
So first of all, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And my name is Grace. I'm a high school senior attending Yorba High School. And I'm also a youth ambassador and advocate. So I helped Governor Newsom through the passage of Senate Bill 40, which capped insulin copay costs. So I'm always, an advocate for student involvement in public policy, government policy. So I'm really glad you mentioned that earlier in your introduction. So my question for you is, I guess I have 1.5 questions, 1.5. My first question is, how should students such as myself who are going to be affected by these new economic policies, etc., changes, how can we get more involved in public policy, government policy? And my 0.5 question is, what are some future trends that you predict that we should watch out for? Because I'm also an incoming freshman, attending the University of Southern California the following fall semester. So I think it's really important to start bridging that knowledge gap between what school doesn't teach us about how public policy and government policy affects our lives.
Yeah, so first off, I think interning is probably one of the best, okay? Government, we do not pay our interns like the private sector. So we love interns. I've had over 1,000 interns in my office, and my chief deputy, Patrick Henning, is here, and we have cohorts, and they're virtual, hybrid. So you come up at the beginning, you work on projects. If you're close to Sacramento, you can obviously come in more. You can volunteer on different campaigns if you're interested in getting to know your elected officials, because we are up every 2 or 4 years, and we are dependent on volunteers. And then that gives you the ability to, be that trusted voice, right? With the young people, what are you thinking? What should we be working on? Because, sometimes we get older and we lose touch. And I would say for education, we need all of you to please partner with our UC, CSU, and community colleges.
Yes.
I saw that you are partnered with UC and CSUs, but not our community colleges. And these days, young people, they don't want to go into high student loan debt. And they want to get a job as soon as they graduate, right? Because it's costing them time and money. And the problem with our school systems is sometimes the teachers, right, they have tenure. They're gonna work there for 10 or 20 years, and now, like AI comes about, and I'm an economics teacher. I don't know how to teach AI, so I'm not gonna teach AI, I'm gonna teach economics. And the kids may wanna say, young people may want, like, I need to learn AI. So, now some of the universities, they have outside extended learning centers or CCE centers where they are really looking for good partners, mentors, teachers, and if you can find, the next, employee where you've been working with her for 4 years, she's got a job, when she's graduating, that is a success model, and that's what we need more of. Not for all of you to depend on the universities, especially the public universities, because it's gonna take a while for us to ramp up and pivot, but obviously the private ones can do a better job. But the UC, CSU's, community colleges, they are affordable. They are accessible for our Californians. So we need your help to make them a little bit more, viable and what's the word?
Connected. Plugged into the economy.
Connected, right? So whatever you're doing, because everyone comes to California because of the talent pool.
Yep.
Well, if we are not creating that talent pool, you're all gonna go someplace else. And then that's gonna really impact California and our next generation. So, talk to us, let us know what else we need to do. Definitely show up at your city council, board of supervisors, state assembly, talk about what's missing. Because the squeaky wheel does get the grease in government. The more that you scream, the more the social media is putting things out there, the more that, you're all, advocating or showing up or not showing up, buying or not buying, it really does change the policy in what's happening in California. So just stay involved, get in touch, communicate, collaborate, and let's try to stay together, support each other, and grow together here in California.
I don't think we could have had a better kickoff speaker for 2026.
Thank you.
The year of the fire horse. You are a fire horse.
My last name is Ma, which
Your
means
last
horse.
last name is Ma, which means horse, and you've inspired us all. You've set us on fire. So can we give our treasurer of the state of California, Fiona Ma, a round of applause?